Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel and my Christmas series 2025. Today's video is going to be with Let's Resin. Now, I have been itching to use these molds again. They are from Let's Resin. They are the Tower Crystal molds. This is the largest one. I absolutely loved using this ages ago, like a solid 2-3 years ago. Why don't I use it more often? And we're using this adorable little Santa. I'm hoping to create some kind of wintry, blizzardy snow scene with Santa in the Crystal Tower. So snow globe-ish, snow globe-esque, but not quite snow globe. We are using the Let's Resin epoxy resin for this, so he is going to be set in there and solid as a rock. Now, the first thing I really need to do is create a base for my Santa. I have to be honest with you guys, I can't remember where I got this Santa from. I've had it several years now. I think it was a tree decoration. It has a hole in its head, which tells me there used to be a hook there. I don't know what happened to the hook. So again, any kind of tree decoration would really work if it is made from this solid plastic stroke resin material. Now I'm just creating a base for him to A, sit on, and B, be suspended down into the mold on, right? I don't want him just to sink into the crystal tower and sink to the bottom. Now I am just using some wooden lollipop sticks and I'm cutting them up into small sections. Those sections will of course just get bigger, and then we're going to have one lollipop stick across the bottom, making sure he does not sink down into the mold. So just a couple of layers of little sections of lollipop sticks. Now I just cut these with scissors, quite easy to do, and I'm just gonna layer him up. I'm using super glue. Now I do use super strength super glue. It sets crazy fast, which makes my life a lot easier. Now at this point, this mold is very dirty. I know, guys, it has been gathering dust in the corner, forgive me. At this point I wasn't quite sure how to put him down in, so I figured I would create a snowy base. Now this is the resin I am using. This is the Let's Resin 2-part epoxy, part A and B, and I do have some leftovers because, oh my goodness me, I have been working on another piece and I am so excited to share it with you. I've been filming kind of like a few videos all at once using the same resin. Sometimes that is just easier for me. And I'm creating him a little base. Now at this point I was thinking, should I put in some of these miniature bottle brush trees? But I figured, you know, the mold is just not quite big enough to handle loads of trees, and also they're so tiny they would probably get lost. So right now we have got Santa fully secured into a resin base. Now at this moment my priority is to fill the hole at the top of his head. The reason I'm doing that is I don't quite know how deep it runs, and I don't want huge air bubbles getting caught in that hole when we tip him upside down, right? And we don't want Santa to have a big giant bubble coming out of his head. So it's safer at this point just to put some super glue down in there. I put way too much and it ended up seeping everywhere, but it's all good. I do have a fresh kit just delivered from Let's Resin. So honestly, this is vital. When you get your fresh resin, you really should mark the lids corresponding to the bottles. Now, of course, the bottles tell you what's in there, but if you accidentally get the wrong lid on the wrong bottle, it's game over. That lid will cure on the bottle. So it's vital you put AB on your resin and your hardener. I wasn't sure how much this tall crystal mold would take in resin, so I figured I would just make up quite a bit because I've always got other projects on the go. It's always easier for me to pour just a little bit too much than it is to just not make enough at all. Once I've poured A and B into this cup, I'm going to put this into my Let's Resin mixing machine. This machine is honestly saving my hands, and it has been ever since I got it. I absolutely love it, and I just leave it there whilst I crack on doing all the other things. That is the beauty of it. You can just put it to one side in your mixing machine and just get on with what you've got to be getting on with whilst it's mixing. I do let that machine just run for about 5 minutes before I take it off of the machine and start to use it. In the meantime, I've demolded Santa from his little snowy base, and I'm adding even more to the bottom of that little white circle. Now this is just going to give me more room to play with and add a snowy white base into the crystal tower. What we don't want, and honestly, I feel like this step was probably not needed because you will see why. I am adding a lollipop stick in its entirety. I'm not cutting it up across the bottom of this. This is going to act as a barrier, making sure that Santa does not go for a deep dive into the resin and he's just going to sit there at the base of the crystal tower mold. Now, the reason I'm saying this is probably pointless is because the circle that Santa is sitting in, it's quite a tight fit in the bottom of the crystal tower mold. And honestly, I think he would have just probably stayed there by himself. Could you sand the edges to make it fit into the shape? Absolutely, yes, of course you could. Now, what I do need to do is spray some alcohol down into the mold before we pour any resin. This is going to really help that resin get into that tippity top, that needle point top of the crystal mold. Now, this is what I'm talking about. It's so tight. It's really tight. Like I said, you could go back and sand the edges. Now, I do have the Let's Resin sanding machine as well. That would have worked a dream. I could have just sanded down some of the sides of the circle to make it fit even better. But you know what? It's really not that bad. So I figured I would just go with it. The super glue on the top of Santa's head did dry up white, which is no big deal really. It just looks like he's been snowed on, right? It could have been so much worse. Now, there's a couple of human errors in this video. Surprise, surprise. If you're new here, hi. I make mistakes almost on a daily. Now, I decided to add in some super sparkle white, which is like a really fine flyaway sparkly dust. And I put a lot in. I'm always saying to you guys, don't put much, like a little goes a long way. Now, the second mistake I made was I wasn't sure whether to just put Santa down in the crystal tower mold or whether to give him some kind of wintry scene in the background. And would it be seen? Would it be worth it? And I decided to go for it because, you know, I wanted to make it extra special. And I'm just using a Christmassy scene of a UV DTF sticker, and I'm going to put that behind Santa. And at this point, I was so confident. And guys, I grabbed the water. Can you imagine? I would have had to have waited ages for this mold to dry out. I'm going to give it another spray of alcohol because this has been a few minutes now since I've done that, and the alcohol will have dried up and evaporated. So another spritz of alcohol just before we pour the resin directly into the mold. And yeah, here's the thing. We need to talk about it. I was really testing out the Let's Resin standard resin. So Let's Resin have different resins, right? You can get Let's Resin deep pour. Now, I fully would usually recommend you use a deep pour resin for a mold like this. This is a chunky, deep mold, but I just wanted to test it out. Is it going to work? Is it going to explode? My biggest fear with this project is that I'm going to all of this trouble. My biggest fear was that the resin would go exothermic, right? That means when the resin is just, there's too much resin in a deep space and it heats up too fast and it can't cope and it basically bubbles up and crunches and cracks and does all of the things. But I really wanted to test the Let's Resin in this mold. I wanted to see, would it cope? Would it handle the depth? Now, in all honesty, we are putting Santa down in here, so it's not so deep, you know, it's deepish, but it's not crazy deep. So deep down, I was deep. How many times can I say the word deep? I was hoping Santa would be fine. Now, the next step for me was to add this background. Like I said, I made a couple of mistakes in this video. And I think one of them was adding this background. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, guys, and I just thought I was doing something really special and it would just be absolutely beautiful. And, you know, would it cope in such a deep resin as well? Would it melt? Because resin does heat up substantially. Second, third, fourth, fifth mistake. I don't know which one we're on, but I went to stick it around the base. Now, of course, this has got a protective clear plastic layer on it, and I could see it starting to come away. And I guess my brain wasn't really engaged. I was so focused on what it was I was trying to achieve, I forgot all the little things. So then I saw the protective layer peeling away. I decided, as you just saw, to rip that off. We don't need that at all on there. And use my super glue again to fully stick this beautiful winter scene behind Santa. And it worked. I mean, for the most part, it worked. Now, at this stage, it's time to lower Santa down into the crystal tower mold. I can't pretend there's an easy way to film this. There isn't. The angles are not great for you guys, but just know he's currently swimming in resin. I had to gently lower him down because I needed to work out how much more resin I needed to pour into the crystal tower in order for him to sit that snowy base, in order for that snowy base to be pushed down and touch the epoxy resin that's already in the tower. See, if I don't put enough in, there's going to be a chunky gap of air between that white snowy base and the rest of the resin. So I figured I would pour enough in until I could push this fully down. You could see that resin now coming up and over that snowy base. Hence why I think that large lollipop stick, although it does help me hold it. It does help me hold it. The large lollipop stick is really playing... It's not playing a role at this point. It's not touching the mold at all. So right now I'm really happy. Like, I'm so excited that this is all okay. It's going to plan. Was it fiddly? Absolutely. And this is 24 hours later, and immediately I was so impressed. Like I said, my biggest fear was that the standard Let's Resin epoxy resin wouldn't cope with the depth and it would go exothermic. And it hasn't. It's all worked a dream. It looks perfect. So the last stage for me really is to fill this mold up. I've got a bit of a gap at the bottom of the crystal tower mold, and I'm just going to fill it with some more, of course, Let's Resin epoxy resin, and not much. We only want to make up a little bit. She says I made up way too much and ended up just pouring it into a spare mold sitting on the side. Just try not to be like me, guys. Yeah, mixing this thoroughly, making sure that part A and B are fully combined before adding in some white liquid pigment. Now, the white liquid pigment, of course, is going to tie in with that snowy base. And hopefully it will look like my Santa is standing in a solid, like 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch of deep snow. Now, the resin that I put Santa in had some sparkle in it. I didn't put any sparkle in this resin, and I don't know why. I don't know why. Like I said, this whole project was a series of should've, would've, could've, but didn't for whatever reason. I figured the white would work. Now you can see all around the circle, we've got those gaps, of course, because the crystal tower is not a circle, it's not round. And I was really hoping that resin would go down and around those gaps. But again, I've got the fear that if I move the mold, if I try and help that resin go down, it's going to go all the way down. As soon as I release that kind of suction between the resin and the mold that's already in there, you've got a risk of the resin pouring down, maybe in front of Santa, or like totally distorting it and destroying the view. I did scrape some of the excess resin off the top and that was fine. It worked a dream. I've just got a little bit of a trim up to do at the bottom. And here we are trying to demold it. Now, with any mold like this, it really is quite hard just to roll it off like this. It is suctioned, it's hard. So I am taking a trick that I learned from Wendy over at Toonpish Crafts, and that is to spray some isopropyl alcohol down the sides of your mold. If you've got a mold like this and it's a beast of a mold and it's a deep thing, then a little bit of alcohol, give it a bit of a squeeze, a bit of a shimmy, and out it pops. And oh my goodness me, first impressions were the resin. What a dream. Like, apart from the fact that I turned poor Santa into a snowy blizzard with way too much super sparkle white, The mold came out stunning, not an air pocket to be seen. The resin itself worked a dream in a deep pour. I was so worried it wouldn't. And other than that, I'm so disappointed with what I've done. The sticker can't even be seen. Absolutely pointless in adding that sticker. You cannot see a single thing on it. And I've put in way too much super sparkle white. Although I have to say it's not horrendous. It still gives Santa Claus stuck in a snow blizzard, snow globe type thing. But that sticker... oh, my biggest regret. The resin, however, like I said, handled it like a pro, and this mold is just stunning. Absolutely stunning. Now, this project has inspired me to do a pyramid using the Let's Resin Resin. I, of course, will be doing things slightly different and learning from my mistakes in this video. Heyyyy, look at this at the bottom. Pouring the resin down. I told you guys I was nervous. I really should have got in there with a cocktail stick, but I was just hoping that the resin would make its way down itself. Of course, it's so tight in there that it just couldn't manage it. So really, I should have gone around with a micro brush tool or a cocktail stick just to make sure that those gaps never happened. Can I fix those? Absolutely, yes, I can. I can just use some white resin a bit at a time, maybe use some tape and just seal that resin in. Now, as a whole, I think he's cute. I'm just so upset with my own choices. So it's all human error in this point. But guys, oh, he looks adorable on my fireplace with the lights on him. Look at him. Such a cute little Christmas creation. So much learned from this video. Like I said, it's been a few years since I've used the crystal tower molds from Let's Resin. I am a Let's Resin affiliate. This video is with Let's Resin, so of course all the details will be down below for your Let's Resin code and all of the details you need for USA, Canada, your codes as well. Guys, let me know what you think about this. Would you attempt it? If I were to do this again, hopefully I will be able to. I definitely would leave out the sticker at the back, but I would also probably add in some lights, because how beautiful would that look with some lights around the base of Santa? I wouldn't even worry about putting stickers in there or anything else. I think it's adorable. And I would also hold back a bit on the super sparkle white. But I've taken so much from this project and I've learned so much from this. What I have learned is that the Let's Resin Resin worked a dream in this deeper pour mold, which has inspired me to go on and do a pyramid, guys. I cannot wait to show you that. I haven't actually finished it yet, so I only hope it comes out right. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you feel inspired by at least one part of this video, and I will see you all next time. Bye.